Hello, Book 2. All right, we're doing part 4 of my 4K, but not that 4K Q&A. And we are at Joel Swagman, who has a barrage of questions. Since there's been a lot of chatter lately about so-called cancel culture, and since hate crimes against Asian Americans have been in the news lately, I thought it might be topical to ask about the Fu Manchu series by Sax Rohmer. Number one, in your estimation, does anyone still read these books nowadays? No. Except for pulp aficionados, no. Number two, I read the first book and thought it was pretty obviously racist. Yeah, they are. They are pretty obviously racist, yes. They have some thrills to them, but no character development, no good dialogue, no plausible plot developments, and the price you're paying for all that underperforming is a lot of racism, just undisguised racism. But according to Wikipedia, there's some debate about its legacy. What are your thoughts? When it comes to all things books, there's only one indisputable authority. And it's not Wikipedia. It's Stevepedia. Okay? I haven't read the Wikipedia entry on Sax Rohmer or Fu Manchu, but the books are not worth the price you're paying. I'm not saying that they're going to turn you racist. I'm not part of this 21st century infantilizing model that says if you're even exposed to such a thing, it'll do infinite harm to you because you don't know what's best for you. The blue checkmark scolds, the SJW scolds, they know what's best for you. These things can't hurt them. But they definitely know that it could hurt you. And that's why, for your own sake, they're offering to ban it and burn you if you don't agree with their decision. They can't be affected by, oh no. I can read these things sociologically. But what about the other people? Oh no, better to have it gone. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's soiling. It would be okay to read that kind of soiling stuff if you were also imbibing the greatness of the work that it's lodged in. That happens in American literature, even in the 20th century. But Sax Rohmer? Let's see here. Question number 3. Putting aside questions of racism, are these books any good, just as pulp adventure stories? The pulp adventure aspects of them can be good. There are effective moments, but mostly not. Mostly not. If you're saying that you're reading Sax Rohmer for the pulp adventure thrill, I have so many pulp adventure authors that I could recommend to you that do it a lot better, that aren't just wasting your time, that do it a lot better. So no. And question number 4, the $1,000,000 question. Could the negative depictions of Chinese in this book have any real-life consequences? That is, should we be worried that these books might cause more impressionable readers to harm Chinese people? No. No, we should not. No, we should not. No, they cannot. First of all, a Southern Alabama racist, with a swastika carved into his forehead, a Trump supporter who wants to overthrow the government so that their racist guy can be unelected dictator of the country forever. That person is not going to read Sax Rohmer. Okay, but this, again, it's this infantilizing narrative that has been put forward by the radical SJW left in the 21st century, that we know better than you what's problematic and what's not. And if you are exposed to this problematic stuff without our guidance, then it'll turn you into a zombie. It'll turn you into a raving monster. That isn't what happens. That isn't how raving monsters are made. We could only wish that we lived in a world in which books had that much power over people who don't read. No, there is no danger like that at all. The danger of those people radicalizing into violence comes from other places. It doesn't come from books. Anyway, Jenny Park says, well, do you think woke culture and cancel culture, what cancel culture, good Lord, are going to ruin the future of entertainment? If so, do you think we can save it? They will certainly ruin the future of entertainment. If by ruin you mean impose a monoculture of school marmish censorship. They're already doing that. And that is already well along the way, well along. And it's only going to continue. And the reason it's going to continue is baffling to me. The one thing about this that is baffling to me, there have always been people who want to impose their ideology on other people. They're always fascists. There always will be. I think you can spot them in the playground. The thing that baffles me about this is that companies and corporations worth billions of dollars have knuckled under to this. We are letting these people do this, which is amazing to me. It'd be a different thing if Vladimir Putin, if some essentially a dictator of a foreign country said, well, I'm going to legislate this. So you don't have a choice, because if you don't do it, then I'll have you shot. that sort of thing, is or arrested or something like that. I'll have you on person. But this is happening in free countries and at universities and in publishing houses, and it's all being done voluntarily in order not to be called a racist by 20 crazy people on Twitter. There is no great penalty that you're suffering if you don't knuckle under this stuff. You're being called names by people who don't buy your product or are never going to support your bottom line. So they're not the people you should be listening to anyway. They're not customers. So, and yet that aspect of it baffles me the most, because that is happening. You can routinely expect now that if some academic or official for a company or a star or something or other, if this blue checkmark hate mob finds something horrible that they said 4 years ago on Twitter, or even something that's just an opinion that they said 4 years ago on Twitter that isn't horrible, it just doesn't conform to the ideologies of the church, though that tiny little mob will start an outcry. How dare you? How dare you commission a translation of a work by a black woman when the translator's skin is not black? How dare you? It's only 20 people at most who are doing this. And the company has plenty of reason to commission the person they're doing. And the reasons aren't racist at all. And yet the company will say, you're fired. Please don't kill us. Please don't hurt us. When the people involved can't hurt Coca-Cola or Bic or Raytheon or anything like that. They can't. They don't have the power to do it. That's the part that I don't understand, is that people are voluntarily surrendering to these people. I don't get that at all. And the thing we can do to save it, if we want to talk collectively, is to resist, as I've said many times on this channel. Fascist censors must be resisted. You must not just turn away from them in silence and say, well, I can enjoy it on my own, or I can stream it, or in the privacy of my own home, because they don't want that. They want the privacy of your own home. And the more you turn away, the closer you get them to looking in your window at your private home. And when that moment comes, you're going to say what people have always said when that moment comes. How did we get here? We got here by turning a blind eye all the other steps, all the earlier steps. They should be fought at all turns, at all times. If you have someone on your school council who's in favor of canceling someone else, get rid of them because they don't agree with me, get rid of that person. A write-in campaign, a massive PR campaign, get them off positions of power, get them out of positions of power. When, for instance, employees at a publishing house say, we're going to cancel this book that our publishing house has bought because we don't agree with it, they should be canceled. Get them out of positions where they have anything even close to influence or power. Get them gone. It isn't enough just to say, well, your censorship here is not affecting me. You should oppose them. If they aren't opposed, they want it all. If you don't oppose them, they'll only grow. Sorry, I know that's vague, but there's nothing more specific to say. Then Omnipotent Poobah. Oh my, we're at the end here. Oh wow. Okay, great. Omnipotent Poobah says, many congratulations on 4,000 videos. Thank you. Question number 1. A friend of mine was debating the use of un-PC dialogue for characters set in the mid-20th century in a novel he's writing. As well he should debate it, because it's a good cost and publishing deal. Where do you stand on the trade-off between retaining the authenticity of language used in any era and the risk of upsetting the more sensitive modern reader? It's not the more sensitive modern reader that you're upsetting. It's the censors that I was talking about. It's the fascist censors that I was talking about. And they aren't offended by un-PC language. They're only offended that you're not obeying. That's what makes them crazy with rage, is that you're not obeying. They don't care about the language. They're not going to read the book. They don't read anything. They don't care about any of it. They don't care about any of the things that they outrage about. They only care that they get to control what you do. So in answer to your question about your friend's book, well, it's not just un-PC, it's anachronistic language of any kind. The question of anachronism in any kind of historical fiction comes up. If you're writing a novel set in ancient Athens, what do you do with the way people talk? What do you do with the way people talk in Shakespearean England? Same thing here in the mid-20th century. I would say the trade-off is always authenticity. So you don't want to neuter your character's language if you have created a fictional situation in which they wouldn't use neutral language. That's the authenticity of what I'm talking about. The language the characters use shouldn't just, knee-jerkishly reflect the period. It should reflect the characters. If you have a character in a novel who would use all the language of the day, even the language that we now consider un-PC, then they should. Absolutely, they should. It should be not to get all poncy, but it should be the artistic vision of the writer. If the writer says this is what my character would sound like, they should do it. Just beware, because as I mentioned, the people, the blue checkmark Twitter fascist censors out there have real power, including in the publishing industry. They could easily get your contract canceled. They could easily get you canceled. They could easily make it so that you don't work in publishing again. It's a trade-off you're going to have to seriously think about. Question number 2. I have been rereading John Fowles lately. I've forgotten how good much of it is. However, it seems in the last 20 years or so, he's very much fallen out of favor. Am I missing something, or is this a cyclical thing? It's probably a cyclical thing. Probably a book of his will come back into favor. I've never seen it with him. I've had so many partisans of his over the years say, you know, this is great. You really should. I know you don't like this author, but you really should like this author. And that means something to me. That really does. So he is on a list, definitely on a sort of always revolving mental list of authors where if I were to come across a nice edition, a nice paperback edition of something or other, I might grab it and try it again with a wide open mind. And your question is going to make that more likely. But the next time, I've noticed that a lot of his American editions are really ugly, but you never know. I'm not, the door is not closed on him for me. It's just he's never done anything for me that has this kind of reaction. I've seen it from other people, but it's never worked on me. And that is it. That is our 4K, but not that 4K Q&A. that was not bad at all. That was 4. Was this 4 videos that we did? That's fantastic. So I will upload all of these things. God knows how long that will take. And I want to end, as I always do, by thanking you. I thank you all for all of this company. 4,000 videos, all of this company that we've shared together. That is so wonderful. I can't imagine my life without it. So thank you all for the company and for the questions. And we'll have another Q&A before too long. I guarantee it. Thank you, BookTube.